Alright, I'm back. So, how have you been, Eli? How was life, my friend? How was our brother Dude? He shall be here soon. I do believe. Let's see who sent me a message. Oh, email reacted to it. Okay. Nice. Ooh, what is that? Oh, okay. It's just a shadow of how it was all there. Have you been cooking anything good lately, Eli? Man, I love when dude shares pictures of what you've been cooking. That stuff looks so damn good. Oh man, I tell you what I haven't had in a while is I guess you call it Italian pepper steak. It's just the Italian sweet pepper sliced down, tomato sauce, some onion, and steak. Hey Maria Noor, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Weston Kyle, thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head, man? Thanks for stopping in, guys. If you're not familiar with me, I read things while I'm stoned, and I read them out loud. Tonight, I'm reading from the book titled, whoops, I always put my hand in the way of it, titled Lamb. It's a really good book by Christopher Moore. I encourage you to go read the book. Also, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate that. I read little blue books, and these are little blue books. It's not the story, the kids' stories. These were printed in the 1920s, 30s, 40s. Abby Moore, thanks for coming in. Thanks for subbing. I greatly appreciate that. Am I from Tennessee or Texas? No. Why do I sound like I'm from Tennessee or Texas? I never thought. Thank you, Weston, for the sub. I greatly appreciate it, guys. Anyhow, these are little blue books. I read them. They were printed, like I said, in the teens and 20s. You could buy these anywhere. Back then, you could order them through the mail, which was where they were primarily sold. David from Colorado, thanks for coming by, man. Everybody, I love and appreciate you. Thanks for stopping in. How's your head? David, I love your state, my friend. I've been through it many times, and I always stop and sample the goodies. Anyhow, here is a little blue book on murder as one of the fine arts. Isn't that an interesting title? This was originally published in 1827. So, Maria Noor, thank you for subscribing. Constance Paul, you're from Louisiana. That is a beautiful state I have never been to. Thank you everybody for subbing. I greatly appreciate you. Tonight, I am reading from the Book of Lamb. It is a very good book written by Christopher Moore, and I highly suggest you go out and purchase it. Dude is in the house. Dude, how you doing, brother? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Andrew from Wisconsin. Nice. I have some very wonderful people in Wisconsin. I have family that lives in Wisconsin. I consider them family. Not of blood, but of choosing. Some very wonderful people in Wisconsin. I will probably go see them this summer. So I will. 10:04. All right. If you're new to me and you haven't, please go and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm from Pennsylvania, everybody. I don't know if you could tell by the accent. So I was talking to my friend there a couple days ago, and we were discussing accents and why is it you can't really hear your own accent, but others can. I mean, I don't know. Some people with a nice Texas twang or a good old Southern drawl, maybe they recognize it, but I don't recognize it. But when I was in Disney last, that was 2003 into 2004. I was standing in line, one of those atrocious lines at Disney, and I was standing there and I was talking to a gentleman, and he asked me to repeat something. I.S. Platt Day. Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? And he asked me to repeat it, and he said, after I repeated it, he said, oh, your Pennsylvania accent. I couldn't understand it. And I was like, oh, okay. That's the first time I've ever had anyone tell me that I had an accent. And now I try to listen for it, and, I don't hear it. But that's neither here nor there. Just an observation. Dude, you'll know this. The rest of you aren't familiar. I'm involved in my local theater. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And tonight we had dress rehearsal. Tomorrow night is opening night. I'm not in this play. I'm in the tech booth, and I'm doing lighting. But the play is looking good. These guys have it down. It was really fun to watch them tonight. Full costume and all makeup. With dress rehearsal is always a free show. I don't know if anyone's familiar with community theater, but dress rehearsal is always a free show. So it was a nice little audience for it, and the audience was laughing and was into it. The actors were very good. I'm really looking forward to opening night tomorrow night. It's fun to watch. It's fun to be in plays, but it's also fun to watch them take place and to see them develop throughout the 3 weeks that they do the plays. So, but yeah, that was tonight. That was good. They all went out for drinks afterwards, and I was like, no, got to pass on that. I got reading to do, motherfuckers. So I was lucky and passed on that. I'll go out for drinks. Do you have a son? No, I do not. Thank God I do not have any spawn upon this earth that I know of, nor has come to claim me. You should be glad of that. I'm pretty much insane. Well, you know, I think I am. My parents would have said, that fucking kid is nuts. Thank God we only had one that lived. Someone in my... Why, do I remind you, do you know someone that looks like me, could be my son? I mean, I don't know. I did have a couple here's and there's where I could have had a spawn. Someone in your class looks like me. Okay, well, it hasn't been that recent, so my spawn would probably be 30 now. If I have spawn, it would be 30 or more. So that's probably not my spawn, though it could be a relative of mine somewhere down the line. A cousin or third cousin or something, possibly. Twice removed, thrice sliced, I don't know. Well, they're those poor people. They should probably get plastic surgery if they look like me. God, I think I look like a Muppet. And all my pictures, like pictures that are taken of me, I swear to God, I look like a fucking Muppet. Even when I smile, don't I look like a Muppet? It's a tough life, kids. Let me tell you, it's a tough life. All right, we got 2 minutes to go. I start reading at 10:10. So, tell your friends, tell your enemies, bring your bong or your favorite apparatus of medication application, and bring a towel, because you should always have a towel. Because I started this whole thing doing reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy at the suggestion of my friend, the dude, and my friend Eli. And so I did. And that's what started this. I started reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. We did all 5 books. And then we did Callahan's Crosstown Saloon. And now, we're reading Lamb. Friends smack enemies, yes. I don't care, just bring them all in. Settle them down, I'll read to them. Oh, wait a minute. And we'll get high. I gotta get mine. Be right back. Okay, now we're back in business. Look at that. My hair is everywhere back there, man. I noticed that. Look at that. I swear to God. I've got like a double crown back there, so it doesn't listen to me. Whatever. Okay, see the shirt? You like that shirt? It's a nice one. That is Nuwu. The best dispensary, hands down, in the country. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because it has a goddamn dab bar. All right, kids, it is 10:10. So that means we're going to get underway. Tonight we are reading from the book of Lamb. The Gospel according to Biff, Christ's childhood pal. So, that's what we're reading. Written by Christopher Moore. And please, go buy the book. It is a really good book. Go buy it. I highly encourage owning books. And then when you're done with it, pass it on to somebody else or trade them a book. That's a great thing about books. Or, keep it and read it and reread it. All right, here we go. I'm going to go back a paragraph just because it makes me feel good. I ran all over the hilltop, checking in our favorite places to play, and finally found Joshua on his knees in an olive grove, rocking back and forth as he prayed. He was soaked in sweat, and I was afraid he might have a fever. Strange. I never felt that sort of concern for my own brothers. But from the beginning, Joshua filled me with divinely inspired worry. I watched and waited, and when he stopped his rocking and sat back to rest, I faked a cough to let him know I was coming. Maybe you should stick with lizards for a while longer. I failed. I have disappointed my father. Did he tell you that? Or do you just know it? He thought for a moment, made as if to brush his hair away from his face, then remembered that he no longer wore his hair long, and dropped his hand in his lap. I ask for guidance, but I get no answer. I can feel that I am supposed to do things, but I don't know what, and I don't know how. I don't know. I think the priest was surprised. I certainly was. Maggie was. People will be talking about it for months. But I wanted the woman to live again, to walk among us, to tell of the miracle. Well, it is written. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Where is that written? Dalmatians 9:7, I think. Doesn't matter. No one else could have done what you did. Joshua nodded. What are people saying? They think that it was something the woman used to prepare the corpse. They are still going through purification for 2 more days, so no one can ask them. So they don't know that it was me? I hope not, Joshua. Don't you understand that you can't do that sort of thing in front of people? They aren't ready for it. But most of them want it. They talk about the Messiah coming to deliver us all the time. Don't I have to show them that he has come? What do you say to that? He was right. Since I could remember, there was always talk of the coming of the Messiah, of the coming of the kingdom of God, of the liberation of our people from the Romans. The hills were full of different factions of zealots who skirmished with the Romans and hoped that they could bring about the change. We were the chosen of God, blessed and punished like no other on earth. When the Jews spoke, God listened. Now it was God's turn to speak. Evidently, my best friend was supposed to be the mouthpiece. But at the moment, I just didn't believe it. Despite what I'd seen, Joshua was my pal, not the Messiah. I said, I'm pretty sure the Messiah is supposed to have a beard. So, it's not time yet. Is that what you're saying? Right, Josh. I'm going to know when you don't. God sent a messenger to me, and he said, by the way, tell Joshua to wait until he can shave before he leads my people out of bondage. It could happen. Don't ask me, ask God. That's what I've been doing. He's not answering. It had been getting darker by the minute in the olive grove, and I could barely see the shine in Joshua's eyes. But suddenly, the area around us was lit up by daylight. We looked up to see the dreaded Raziel descending on us from above the treetops. Of course, I didn't know he was the dreaded Raziel at the time. I was just terrified. The angel shone like a star above us, his features so perfect that even my beloved Maggie's beauty paled by comparison. Joshua hid his face and huddled against the trunk of an olive tree. I guess he was more easily surprised by the supernatural than I was. I just stood there staring with my mouth open, drolling like the village idiot. Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall to be all men. For on this day in the city of David is born a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. Then he hovered for a second, waiting for his message to sink in. Joshua uncovered his face and risked a glance at the angel. Well? The angel said. It took me a second to digest the meaning of the words, and I waited for Joshua to say something, but he had turned his face skyward and seemed to be basking in the light. A silly smile locked on his face. Finally, I pointed a thumb at Josh and said, he was born in the city of David. Really? Said the angel. Yep. His mother's name is Mary. Yep. She's a virgin. He has 4 brothers and sisters now. One time, yes. The angel looked around nervously, as if he might expect a multitude of the heavenly host to show up at some point. How old are you, kid? Joshua just stared, smiling. He's 10. The angel cleared his throat and fidgeted a bit, dropped a few feet toward the ground as he did so. I'm in a lot of trouble. I stopped to chat with Michael on the way here. He had a deck of cards. I know some time has passed, but... To Joshua, he said, Kid, you were born in a stable? What, wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger? Joshua said nothing. Oh, that's the way his mom tells it, I said. Is he retarded? I think you're his first angel. He's impressed, I think. What about you? I'm in trouble because I'm going to be an hour late for dinner. I see what you mean. I better get back and check on this. If you see some shepherds watching over their flocks by night, would you tell them at some point, probably 10 years or so ago, that a Savior was born? Could you do that? Sure. Okie dokie. Glory to God in the highest. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Right back at you. Thanks. Bye. And as quickly as it had come, the angel was gone in a shooting star, and the olive grove went dark again. Yeah, that's what she said. Hey, Mama, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? I could just make out Joshua's face as he turned to look at me. There you go, I said. Next question. I suppose that every boy wonders what he will be when he grows up. I suppose that many watch their peers accomplish great things and wonder, could I have done that? For me, to know at 10 that my best friend was the Messiah, while I would live and die a stonecutter, seemed too much of a curse for a 10-year-old to bear. The morning after we met the angel, I went to the square and sat with Bartholomew, the village idiot, hoping that Maggie would come to the well. If I had to be a stonecutter, at least I might have the love of an enchanting woman. In those days, we started training for our life's work at 10, then received the prayer shawl and phylacteries, that's what I'm going with, phylacteries at 13, signifying our entry into manhood. Soon after, we were expected to be betrothed, and by 14, married and starting a family. So you see, I was not too young to consider Maggie as a wife. and I might always have the fallback position of marrying Joseph's mother when Joseph died. Oh, Joshua's mother when Joseph died. All right, hold on. Got a so one Messiah and one very naughty boy. Yes, that's what we're going with. Kyle plays games. Hey, Kyle, thanks for coming back. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Alrighty, here we go. I had to hydrate, kids, because I caught enough, you know. Alright. Where was I? Okay, I found myself. The woman would come and go, fetching water, washing clothes, and as the sun rose high and the square cleared, Bartholomew sat in the shade of a tattered date palm and picked his nose. Maggie never appeared. Funny how easy heartbreak can come. I have always had a talent for it. Why you cry? Said Bartholomew. He was bigger than any man in the village. His hair and beard were wild and tangled, and the yellow dust that covered him from head to toe gave him the appearance of an incredibly stupid lion. His tunic was ragged, and he wore no sandals. The only thing he owned was a wooden bowl that he ate from and licked clean. He lived off of the charity of the village and by gleaning the grain fields. There was always some grain left in the fields for the poor. It was dictated by the law. I never knew how old he was. He spent his days in the square, playing with the village dogs, giggling to himself, and scratching his crotch. When the women passed, he would stick out his tongue and say, "Blah." My mother said he had the mind of a child. As usual, she was wrong. He put his big paw on my shoulder and rubbed, leaving a dusty circle of affection on my shirt. "Why you cry?" he said again. "I'm just sad. You wouldn't understand." Bartholomew looked around, and when he saw that we were alone in the square except for the dog pals, he said, "You think too much. Thinking will bring you nothing but suffering. Be simple." What? It was the most coherent thing I'd ever heard him say. Do you ever see me cry? I have nothing, so I'm a slave to nothing. I have nothing to do, so nothing makes me its slave. What do you know? I snapped. You live in the dirt. You are unclean. You do nothing. I have to begin working next week and work for a lifetime until I die with a broken back. The girl I want is in love with my best friend, and he's the Messiah. I'm nothing, and you're an idiot. No, I'm not. I'm a Greek, a cynic. I turned and really looked at him. His eyes, normally as dull as mud, shone like black jewels in the dusty desert of his face. What's a cynic? A philosopher. I am a student of Diogenes. You know, Diogenes? No. But how much could he have taught you? Your only friends are dogs. Diogenes went about Athens with a lamp in broad daylight. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. And he'll be back in 9 minutes. All right, caller. We'll see you when you get back. It'll be good in a moment. Oh, I'm good. I'm glad, Mama. So, one Messiah. Okay. All right, where was I? Wait a minute. Let me hydrate because I got caught in that. All right. Diogenes went about Athens with a lamp in broad daylight, holding it in people's faces, saying he was looking for an honest man. So, he was like the prophet of the idiots? No, no, no. Bart picked up a small terrier and was gesturing with him to make his point. The dog seemed to enjoy it. They were all fooled by their culture. Diogenes taught that all affectations of modern life were false, and that a man must live simply, outdoors, caring nothing, make no art, no poetry, no religion. Like a dog, I said. Yes! Bart described a flourish in the air with the rat dog. Exactly. The little dog made as if to upchuck from the motion. Bart put him down and he wobbled away. A life without worry. Right then it sounded wonderful. I mean, I didn't want to live in the dirt and have other people think me mad like Bartholomew, but a dog's life really didn't sound bad. The idiot had been hiding a deep wisdom all these years. I'm trying to learn to lick my own balls, Bart said. That is a noble ambition. Maybe not. I have to go find Joshua. You know he is the Messiah, don't you? Wait a minute, you're not a Jew. I thought you didn't believe in any religion. Oh, the dogs told me he was the Messiah. I believe them. Tell Joshua, I believe them. The dogs told you? They're Jewish dogs. Right. Let me know how the ball licking works out. Shalom. Who would have thought that Joshua would find his first apostle among the dirt and dogs of Nazareth? Blah. Jacob, Diogenes. I found Joshua at the synagogue, listening to the Pharisees lecture on the law. I stepped through the group of boys sitting on the floor and whispered to him, Bartholomew says he knows you are the Messiah. The idiot? Did you ask him how long he's known? He said the village dogs told him. I never thought to ask the dogs. He says that we should live simply like dogs, caring nothing, no affectations, whatever that means. Bartholomew said that? Sounds like an Essene. He's much smarter than he looks. He's trying to learn to lick his own balls. I'm sure there's something in the law that forbids that. I'll ask the rabbi. I'm not sure you want to bring that up to the Pharisee. Did you tell your father about the angel? No. Good. I've spoken to Joseph. He's going to let me learn to be a stonecutter with you. I don't want your father to change his mind about teaching me. I think the angel would frighten him. Joshua looked at me for the first time, turning from the Pharisee, who droned on in Hebrew. Have you been crying? Me? No. Bart's stench made my eyes water. Joshua put his hand on my forehead, and all the sadness and trepidation seemed to drain out of me in an instant. He smiled. Better? I'm jealous of you and Maggie. That can't be good for your neck. What? Trying to lick your own balls. It's got to be hard on your neck. Did you hear me? I'm jealous of you and Maggie. I'm still learning, Biff. There are things I don't understand yet. The Lord said I'm a jealous God. So jealousy should be a good thing. But it makes me feel so bad. You see the puzzle then? Jealousy makes you feel bad, but God is jealous, so it must be good. Yet when a dog licks its balls, it seems to enjoy it, but it must be bad under the law. Suddenly Joshua was yanked to his feet by the ear. The Pharisee glared at him. Is the law of Moses too boring for you, Joshua Bar Joseph? I have a question, Rabbi, Joshua said. Oh, jeez. I hid my head in my arms. That's the end of chapter 3. Thanks, Talmadge Hill. I appreciate that evaluation. I like to think at some point in time I've been a dope dude. I smoke weed. This was my 46th year of smoking weed, marijuana, cannabis. The reason I know that is because The first time I got high was on my 13th birthday. My best friend growing up got me high on my 13th birthday for the first time, and I fell in love. Okay, here we are. Chapter 4. Hydrate. Because, you know, Cottonmouth, man, it sucks. 10:30. All right, chapter 4. Yet another reason I loathe the heavenly scum with whom I share this room. Today, I found that I had offended our intrepid room service waiter, Jesus. How was I to know? When he brought our pizza for dinner, I gave him one of the American silver coins that we received from the airport sweet shop called Cinnabon. He scoffed at me. Scoffed! Then, thinking better of it, he said, Senor, I know you are foreign, so you do not know, but this is a very insulting tip. Better you just sign the room service slip so I get the fee that is added automatically. I tell you this because you have been very kind, and I know you do not mean to offend, but another of the waiters would spit in your food if you should offer him this. I glared at the angel, who, as usual, was lying on the bed watching television, and for the first time I realized that he did not understand Jesus' language. He did not possess the gift of tongues he had bestowed on me. He spoke Aramaic to me, and he seemed to know Hebrew and enough English to understand television, but of Spanish he understood not a word. I apologized to Jesus, or Jesus, and sent him on his way, just with a promise that I would make it up to him. Then I wheeled on the angel. You fool! These coins, these dimes, are nearly worthless in this country. What do you mean? They look like the silver dinars we dug up in Jerusalem. They were worth a fortune. He was right, in a way. After he called me up from the dead, I led him to a cemetery in the valley of Ben Hidon, and there, hidden behind a stone where Judas had put it 2,000 years ago, was the blood money. 30 silver dinars. But for a little tarnish, they looked just as they did on the day I had taken them. And they were almost identical to the coin this country calls the dime, except for the image of Tiberius on the dinars, and some other Caesar on the dime. We had taken the dinars to an antiquities dealer in the old city, which looked nearly the same as it did when I last walked there, except that the temple was gone, and in its place 2 great mosques. The merchant gave us $20,000 in American money for them. It was this money that we had traveled on and deposited at the hotel desk for our expenses. The angel told me the dimes must have the same worth as the dinars, and I, like a fool, believed him. You should have told me, I said to the angel. If I could leave this room, I would know myself. You have work to do, the angel said. Then he leapt to his feet and shouted at the television, The wrath of God shall fall upon ye, Stephanos. What in the hell are you shouting at? The angel wagged a finger at the screen. He has exchanged Catherine's baby for its evil twin, which he fathered with his sister while she was in a coma. Yet Catherine does not realize his evil deed. And as he had his face changed to impersonate the bank manager who was foreclosing on Catherine's husband's business. If I was not trapped here, I would personally drag the fiend straight to hell. For days now, the angel had been watching serial dramas on television, alternately shouting at the screen or bursting into tears. He had stopped reading over my shoulder, so I had just tried to ignore him. But now I realized what was going on. It's not real, Raziel. What do you mean? It's drama, like the Greeks used to do. They are actors in a play. No. No one can pretend such evil. That's not all. Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus, not real. Characters in a play. You lying dog! If you'd ever leave the room and look at how real people talk, you'd know that. You yellow-haired cretin. But no, you stay here, perched on my shoulder like a trained bird. I am dead 2,000 years, and even I know better. I still need to get a look at that book in the dresser. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could goad the angel into giving me 5 minutes privacy. You know nothing, said Raziel. I have destroyed whole cities in my time. Sort of makes me wonder if you destroyed the right ones. That'd be embarrassing, huh? Then an advertisement came on the screen for a magazine that promised to fill in all the blanks and give the real inside story to all the soap operas. Soap Opera Digest. I watched the angel's eyes widen. He grabbed the phone and rang the front desk. What are you doing? I need that book. Have them send up Jesus, I said. He'll help you get it. Our first day of work, Joshua and I were up before dawn. We met near the well and filled the water skins our fathers had given us. Then ate our breakfasts, flatbread and cheese, as we walked together to Sepphoris. The road, although packed dirt most of the way, was smooth and easy to walk. If Rome saw to anything in its territories, it was the lifelines of its army. As we walked, we watched the rock-strewn hills turn pink under the rising sun, and I saw Joshua shudder as if a chill wind had danced up his spine. The glory of God is in everything we see, he said. We must never forget that. I just stepped in camel dung. Tomorrow, let's leave after it's light out. I just realized it. That is why the old woman wouldn't live again. I forgot that it wasn't my power that made her arise. It was the Lord's. I brought her back for the wrong reason. Out of arrogance. So she died a second time. It squished over the side of my sandal. Well, that's going to smell all day. But perhaps it was because I did not touch her. When I brought other creatures back to life, I always touched them. Is there something in the law about taking your camel off the road to do his business? There should be. If not the law of Moses, then the Romans should have one. I mean, they won't hesitate to crucify a Jew who rebels. There should be some punishment for messing up their roads. Don't you think? I'm not saying crucifixion, but a good smiting in the mouth or something. But how could I have touched the corpse when it is forbidden by the law? The mourners would have stopped me. Can we stop for a second so I can scrape off my sandals? Help me find a stick. That pile was as big as my head. You're not listening to me, Biff. I'm listening. Look, Joshua, I don't think the law applies to you. I mean, you're the Messiah. God is supposed to tell you what he wants, isn't he? I asked, but I received no answer. Look, you're doing fine. Maybe that woman didn't live again because she was stubborn. Old people are that way. You have to throw water on my grandfather to get him up from his nap. Try a young dead person next time. What if I am not really the Messiah? You mean you're not sure? The angel didn't give it away. You think that God might be playing a joke on you? I don't think so. I don't know the Torah as well as you, Joshua, but I don't remember God having a sense of humor. Finally, a grin. He gave me you as a best friend, didn't he? Help me find a stick. Do you think I'll make a good stonemason? Just don't be better at it than I am, that's all I ask. You stink. What have I been saying? You really think Maggie likes me? Are you going to be like this all morning? Because if you are, you can walk to work alone. Hydrate, kids. What's our time? Look at that, 10:40. All right, we got 20 minutes of reading left. The gates of Sepphoris were like a funnel of humanity Farmers poured out into their fields and groves. Craftsmen and builders crowded in, while merchants hawked their wares and beggars moaned at the roadside. Joshua and I stopped outside the gates to marvel, and were nearly run down by a man leading a string of donkeys laden with baskets of stone. It wasn't that we had never seen a city before. Jerusalem was 50 times larger than Sepphoris, and we had been there many times for feast days, but Jerusalem was a Jewish city. It was the Jewish city. Sepphoris was the Roman fortress city of Galilee. And as soon as we saw the statue of Venus at the gates, we knew that this was something different. I elbowed Joshua in the ribs. Graven image. I had never seen the human form depicted before. Sinful, Joshua said. Hey, Jacob. Ah, yeah, Christopher Moore is good, buddy. She's naked. Don't look. She's completely naked. It is forbidden. We should go away from here. Find your father. He caught me by my sleeve and dragged me through the gates into the city. How can they allow that? I asked. You'd think that our people would tear it down. They did. A band of zealots, Joseph told me. The Romans caught them and crucified them by this road. You never told me that. Joseph told me not to speak of it. You could see her breasts. Don't think about it. How can I not think about it? I've never seen a breast without a baby attached to it. They're more friendly in pairs like that. Which way to where we are supposed to work? My father said to come to the western corner of the city, and we would see where the work was being done. Then come along. He was still dragging me, his head down, stomping along like an angry mule. Do you think Maggie's breasts will look like that? My father had been commissioned to build a house for a wealthy Greek on the western side of the city. When Joshua and I arrived, my father was already there, directing the slaves who were hoisting a cut stone into place on the wall. I suppose I expected something different, and I suppose I was surprised that anyone, even a slave, would do as my father instructed. The slaves were Nubians, Egyptians, Phoenicians, criminals, debtors, spoils of war, accidents of birth. They were wiry, filthy men, many wearing nothing more than sandals and a loincloth. In another life, they might have commanded an army or lived in a palace, but now they sweated in the morning chill, moving stones heavy enough to break a donkey. Are these your slaves? Joshua asked my father. Am I a rich man, Joshua? No, these slaves belong to the Romans. The Greek, who is building this house, has hired them for the construction. Why do they do as you ask? There are so many of them. You are only one man. My father hung his head. I hope that you never see what the lead tips of a Roman whip do to a man's body. All of these men have, and even seeing it has broken their spirit as men. I pray for them every night. I hate the Romans, I said. Do you, little one? Do you? A man's voice from behind. Hail, Centurion, my father said, his eyes going wide. Joshua and I turned to see Justus Galatius, the centurion, from the funeral at Jaffa, standing among the slaves. Alpheus, it seems you are raising a litter of zealots. My father put his hands on my and Joshua's shoulders. This is my son Levi and his friend Joshua. They begin their apprenticeship today. Just boys, he said, by way of an apology. Justus approached, looking quickly at me, and then stared at Joshua for a long time. I know you, boy. I've seen you before. The funeral at Jaffa, I said quickly. I couldn't take my eyes off the wasp-waisted short sword that hung from the centurion's belt. Hydrate, kids. No. The Roman seemed to be searching his memory. Not Japhia. I've seen his face in a picture. That can't be, my father said. We are forbidden by our faith from depicting the human form. Justice glared at him. I am not a stranger to your people's primitive beliefs, Alpheus. Still, this boy is familiar. Justice glared at him. I'm not a... Okay, never mind. Joshua stared up at the centurion with a completely blank expression. You feel for these slaves, boy. You would free them if you could. Joshua nodded. I would. A man's spirit should be his own to give to God. You know, there was a slave about 80 years ago who talked like you. He raised an army of slaves against Rome, beat back 2 of our armies, took over all the territory south of Rome. It's a story every Roman soldier must learn. Why? What happened? I asked. We crucified him, Justice said, by the side of the road, and his body was eaten by ravens. The lesson we all learn is that nothing can stand against Rome. A lesson you need to learn, boy, along with your stone cutting. Just then another Roman soldier approached, a legionnaire, not wearing the cape or the helmet crest of the centurion. He said something to Justice in Latin, then looked at Joshua and paused. In rough Aramaic, he said, Hey, didn't I see that kid on some bread once? Wasn't him, I said. Really? Sure looks like him. Nope, that was another kid on the bread. It was me, said Joshua. I backhanded him across the forehead, knocking him to the ground. No, it wasn't. He's insane. Sorry. The soldier shook his head and hurried off after Justice. I offered a hand to help Joshua up. You're going to have to learn to lie. I am? But I feel like I'm here to tell the truth. Yeah, sure, but not now. I don't exactly know what I expected it would be like working as a stone cutter or as a stonemason, but I know that in less than a week Joshua was having second thoughts about not becoming a carpenter. Cutting great stones with small iron chisels was very hard work. Who knew? Look around. Do you see any trees? Joshua mocked. Rocks, Josh, rocks. It's only hard because we don't know what we're doing. It will get easier. Joshua looked at my father, who was stripped to the waist, chiseling away on a stone the size of a donkey, while a dozen slaves waited to hoist it into place. He was covered with gray dust, and streams of sweat drew dark lines between cords of muscle straining in his back and arms. Alpheus, Joshua called, does the work get easier once you know what you are doing? Your lungs grow thick with stone dust, and your eyes bleary from the sun and fragments thrown up by the chisel. You pour your lifeblood out into the works of stone for Romans. It will take your money in taxes to feed soldiers who will nail your people to the cross for wanting to be free. Your back breaks, your bones creak, your wife screeches at you, and your children torment you with open, begging mouths, like greedy baby birds in the nest. You go to bed every night so tired and beaten that you pray to the Lord to send the angel of death to take you in your sleep so you don't have to face another morning. It also has its downside. Thanks, Joshua said. He looked at me, one eyebrow raised. I, for one, am excited, I said. I'm ready to cut some stone. Stand back, Josh. My chisel is on fire. Life is stretching out before us like a great bazaar, and I can't wait to taste the sweets to be found there. Josh tilted his head like a bewildered dog. I don't get that from your father's answer. It's sarcasm, Josh. Sarcasm? It's from the Greek, sarcasmos, to bite the lip. It means that you aren't really saying what you mean, but people will get your point. I invented it. Bartholomew named it. Well, if the village idiot named it, I'm sure it's a good thing. There you go, you got it. Got what? Sarcasm. No, I meant it. Sure you did. Is that sarcasm? Irony, I think. What's the difference? I haven't the slightest idea. So you're being ironic now, right? No, I really don't know. Maybe you should ask the idiot. Now you've got it. What? Sarcasm. Biff, are you sure you weren't sent here by the devil to vex me? Could be. How am I doing so far? Do you feel vexed? Yep, and my hands hurt from holding the chisel and mallet. He struck the chisel with his wooden mallet and sprayed us both with stone fragments. Maybe God sent me to talk you into being a stonemason so you would hurry up and go be the Messiah. He struck the chisel again, then spit and sputtered through the fragments that flew. I don't know how to be the Messiah. So what? A week ago you didn't know how to be a stonemason, and look at us now. It gets easier once you know what you're doing. Are you being ironic again? God, I hope not. Alright, hydrate, kids. The greatest invention ever sliced. Absolutely, dude. It was 2 months before we actually saw the Greek who had commissioned my father to build the house. He was a short, soft-looking little man who wore a robe that was as white as any worn by the Levite priest, with a border of interlocking rectangles woven around the hem in gold. He arrived in a pair of chariots, followed on foot by 2 body slaves and a half-dozen bodyguards who looked like Phoenicians. I say a pair of chariots because he rode with a driver in the lead chariot, but behind them they pulled a second chariot, in which stood the 10-foot-tall marble statue of a naked man. The Greek climbed down from his chariots and went directly to my father. Joshua and I were mixing a batch of mortar at the time, and we paused to watch. Graven image, Joshua said. Saw it, I said. As graven images go, I like Venus over by the gate better. That statue is not Jewish, Joshua said. Definitely not Jewish, I said. The statue's manhood, although abundant, was not circumcised. Alpheus, the Greek, said, Why haven't you set the floor of the gymnasium yet? I brought the statue to display in the gymnasium, and there's just a hole in the ground instead of a gymnasium. I told you, this ground is not suitable for building. I can't build on sand. I've had the slaves dig down in the sand until they hit bedrock. Now it has to be backfilled in with stone, then pounded. But I want to place my statue, the Greek whined. It's come all the way from Athens. Would you rather your house fall down around your precious statue? Don't talk to me that way, Jew. I am paying you well to build this house. And I'm building this house well. Which means not on sand. So store your statue and let me do my work. Well, unload it. You, slaves, help unload my statue. The Greek was talking to Joshua and me. All of you, help unload my statue. He pointed to the slaves who had been pretending to work since the Greek arrived, but who weren't sure that it was in their best interest to look like a part of a project about which the master seemed displeased. They all looked up with a surprised, "Who, me?" expression on their faces, which I noticed was the same in any language. The slaves moved to the chariot and began untying the ropes that held the statue in place. The Greek looked at us. "Are you deaf, slaves? Help them!" He stormed back to his chariot and grabbed a whip out of the driver's hand. Those are not slaves, my father said. Those are my apprentices. The Greek wheeled on him. And I should care about that. Move, boys, now. No, Joshua said. I thought the Greek would explode. He raised the whip as if to strike. What did you say? He said no. I stepped up to Joshua's side. My people believe that graven images, statues, are sinful, my father said, his voice on the edge of panic. The boys are only being true to our God. Well, that is a statue of Apollo, a real god. So they will help unload it, as will you, or I'll find another mason to build my house. No, Joshua repeated, we will not. Right, you leprous jar of camel snot, I said. Joshua looked at me, sort of disgusted. Jeez, Biff. What, too much? The Greek screeched, pardon me, and started to swing the whip. The last thing I saw as I covered my face was my father diving toward the Greek. I would take a lash for Joshua, but I didn't want to lose an eye. I braced for the sting that never came. There was a thump, then a twanging sound, and when I uncovered my face, the Greek was lying on his back in the dirt, his white robe covered with dust, his face red with rage. The whip was extended out behind him, and on its tip stood the armored hobnail boot of Gaius Justius Galascus, the centurion. The Greek rolled in the dirt, ready to vent his ire on whoever had stayed his hand. But when he saw who it was, he went limp and pretended to cough. One of the Greek's bodyguards started to step forward. Justice pointed a finger at the guard. Will you stand down, or would you rather feel the foot of the Roman Empire on your neck? The guard stepped back into line with his companions. The Roman was grinning like a mule eating an apple, not in the least concerned with allowing the Greek to save face. So, Castor, am I to gather that you need to conscript more Roman slaves to help build your house? Or is it true what I hear about you Greeks, that whipping young boys is an entertainment for you, not a disciplinary action? The Greek spit out a mouthful of dust as he climbed to his feet. The slaves I have will be sufficient for the task, won't they, Alpheus? He turned to my father, his eyes pleading. My father seemed to be caught between two evils and unable to decide which was the lesser of them. Probably, he said finally. Well, good then, Justice said. I will expect a bonus payment for the extra work they are doing. Carry on. Justice walked through the construction site acting as if every eye was not on him, or not caring, and paused as he passed Joshua and me. Leprous jar of camel snot, he said under his breath. Old Hebrew blessing, I ventured. You two should be in the hills with the other Hebrew rebels. The Roman laughed, tousled our hair, then walked away. 10:59. What a perfect time to stop. Alright, that's where we're stopping tonight, guys. Let me get a pen and mark my book so I know where we start, so I don't repeat read like I did last video. Alright, so that's where we're stopping for tonight, and we'll pick up there next Thursday. Yep, that one's not a ready one. Damn it all, the blasted bejesus. So yes, if you like the so far what you've heard me read, please go buy the book. And all these little pens, they are Sharpie pens. They all have this little like stubby plastic cap on them. And I have them all in my pen thing. And of course the last one I pick. Mama Sunshine, just when I'm getting into it. Love hearing. Oh, thank you, Mama. I'm always happy when you come to hear me read. You can later catch up. I do allow these live reads are posted, so if you ever want to catch up, you can. Um, just FYI. All right, so that's where we left off, and my my bookmarker, my Ed bookmarker, come out of my book, so I'll have to figure out where I left off back, when my actual reading. And I think I stopped. All right, anyhow, so that was a good reading for tonight. I have one more chapter, one more video to do for Evolution versus Dogma. And then I might do How I Went to the Devil by Clay Fawkes. And it's not what you think. It wasn't, I was like, okay, that wasn't what I thought. But it's interesting. I'd also like to do On Murder as One of the Fine Arts. But it was written, originally published in 1827. So its language is a bit flowery. Flowery. It's verbose. So I haven't finished this one yet. And this is first paper published in the Blackwoods magazine of 1827. Advertisement of a man morbidly virtuous. Morbidly virtuous. And it's interesting. So, but yeah, that's what's coming up on the channel of Little Blue Books. And if you're here and you're not familiar with me, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, everybody. I am jumping off here tonight, and I'm going to go play some Diablo 4 because they opened a new season. So, all right, everybody. I love you so much. Thanks for coming by and listening. And I'll see you next Thursday. Peace out with sauerkraut.